GOP Senator Jeff Flake. First up, though, correspondent Phil Keating in Orlando tonight with what is now being described as maybe a proxy race for 2020 in 2018. Good evening, Phil.
I said,
good evening, Brett. It's been 20 years since a Florida Democrat won a governor's race. With a swing to the left, they feel this could finally be their year. After last night, the biggest battleground state in the nation now has a proxy Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders showdown for governor this November.
We have shown the rest of the country that we can be the David in the situation where there's a Goliath.
In a shocking come-from-behind victory, progressive Democrat Andrew Gillum, the far outspent Tallahassee mayor, defeated a big primary field, including former Congresswoman Gwen Graham, daughter of former Governor and Senator Bob Graham, who led in the polls by 7 points.
We've got to get out there and bring all the people that we can to our side. We've got to do that, y'all.
oh, this camera right here is giving me trouble again.
The endorsement of Vermont Socialist Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders, who said that Gillum was leading the political revolution. Like Sanders, Gillum wants Medicare for all.
To the next governor of the great state of Florida.
The Republican primary winner, Trump's choice.
I was hoping not to have any problems with this camera today, and it appears it doesn't want to really work for me right now.
Tuesday night, DeSantis acknowledged how much Trump's endorsement played in his 20-point landslide victory over establishment conservative and agriculture commissioner Adam Putnam, who had led the polls before Trump weighed in.
I did have support from someone in Washington. If you walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, he lives in the White House.
Yet day one of this critical showdown began with controversy when DeSantis said this on Fox News. Gillum is hoping to become Florida's first black governor in history.
The last
thing really doesn't matter what
is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state.
Gillum gave us this interpretation.
In the handbook of Donald Trump, they no longer do whistle calls. They're now using full bullhorns.
DeSantis' campaign later issued a statement denying he was making a racist comment, simply contradicting socialism with capitalism. One thing that is still dogged the Gillum campaign, an ongoing FBI investigation into Tallahassee City Hall. To date, Gillum has not been implicated. They told Fox today he has nothing to worry about.
More on this panel, Phil, thank you. Arizona will soon have 2 new senators.
Getting
we will not
angry
know
now.
for at least a few days who will replace the late John McCain, but we do know who's running for the vacancy created by the retirement of Republican incumbent Jeff Flake. Correspondent Peter Ducey tells us about that from Tempe.
The Grand Canyon
leave it
GOP
right there.
Senate primary winner is trying to carve out clear differences between Republicans and the resistance.
It's a choice between a doer and a talker, between a patriot and a protester.
Congresswoman Martha McSally's victory party started with a moment of silence for the late Senator John McCain, and quickly turned towards her own experience as a fighter pilot.
My opponent brags that she owns over 100 pair of shoes. I, on the other hand, have over 100 combat missions serving our country.
But that Democratic opponent, Congresswoman Kirsten Sinema, senses a blue wave in the Arizona desert.
I have to say, the energy and excitement that we've seen this year is unlike anything I've seen in my lifetime.
This race may be decided by which candidate's immigration policy is the most popular with border state voters.
She's so weak on these issues. She supports the left's open border policies.
Sinema says she supports bipartisan immigration policies.
Congress has completely failed to address this issue. They've allowed partisan bickering to get in the way of actual solutions.
Excuse me while I tuck this in.
Sinema v. McSally contest will be the first woman ever elected to the Senate in Arizona. Both cruised to early primary night victories, but McSally had to tiptoe through a fractured GOP base and a ballot crowded with 2 other conservative choices, former Sheriff Joe Arpaio and Dr. Kelly Ward.
Sadly, tonight, money triumphed over message.
McSally was the favorite of the GOP establishment, but once condemned candidate Trump as disgusting after the infamous Access Hollywood tape surfaced. The president stayed out of the primary, but jumped into the general with this. Martha McSally is an extraordinary woman. She was a very talented fighter jet pilot and is now a highly respected member of Congress. Has my total and complete endorsement. Now McSally hopes there's more where that came from.
I'm going to read
I hope the president
you.
comes here to rally the base so that we can make sure we win the seat.
McSally also told me President Trump is the king
on
of
board
fake names,
with
and now
Trump
she's rolling
coming
out
to
a new one of her own, calling Congresswoman Cinema Hollywood
1/4
Cinema.
of the way
That's
there.
a coming attraction to the campaign trail after both candidates take a few days off to honor Senator McCain. Brett.
Peter, thank you. We do know
That's a
that
lot of reflection, and I don't
will
care.
Elect the
Looks
first
good
female
enough.
senator ever. At this hour, the
That'd be
body of
great.
John McCain
That's
lies in state, as you see in the Arizona Capitol. McCain died Saturday of brain cancer. Tonight, thousands of Arizonans are paying their respects. National correspondent William Lajeunesse is in Phoenix with that story. Good evening, William.
Well, Brett, as you can see, John McCain did not go quietly into the night. This line that you see behind me snakes around the corner. It's been that way for 2 hours. Now, Senator McCain actually planned this service, and those in Washington personally reaching out to the pallbearers and those who would speak at his funeral, his way of sending a message. We're expecting about 10,000 from around the state to pay their respects, as his family did earlier today.
Let these tears bring blooms in the desert he loved, in the country he served, and in all our hearts.
Arizona said goodbye today to its favorite adopted son, remembering John McCain as a hero, statesman, and maverick.
He represented our values all over the world as senator from Arizona, and America is stronger for his fierce defense of our values.
On what would have been his 82nd birthday, friend and former Senator John Kyle said McCain's love of country grew while in Vietnam.
John McCain believed in America. He believed in its people, its values, and its institutions. He said he came to this realization during his time as a POW in Vietnam.
He is also remembered for protecting the state he served for 36 years.
He fought like hell for the causes he believed in. He plowed through election after election with the energy and focus of a warrior. Gathered in this spot, we are especially grateful that John made Arizona his home.
And those who only knew him as their voice in Congress lined up in
I'm going to try
triple-digit
something
signatures to pay
throughout
their
the
respects.
next
He meant a lot to the state, but to the
little
country,
while
he just
here.
meant as much.
As an immigrant, his fight for immigration reform is close to my heart.
It wasn't necessarily his politics, but more of his character. The fact that he served his country, he was a prisoner of war, he did everything so courageously.
Senator McCain is the fourth person to lie in state at the rotunda here. Officials say doors will stay open, Brad, until there is no longer a line. Back to you.
William Lajeunesse live in Phoenix. William, thank you. Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort wants a judge to move his upcoming trial out of the nation's capital. His lawyers cite intensely negative news coverage and possible juror bias in requesting that the case be relocated to Roanoke, Virginia. Manafort was found guilty of 8 counts last week in a separate trial in Alexandria, Virginia. Jury selection for trial number 2 is set to begin September 17th, with opening statements a week later. Also today, the special counsel's office is asking now for more time to decide whether to retry Manafort on 10 counts the jury in the first trial failed to resolve. As we told you last night, the official death toll in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria last year has risen astronomically. Tonight, correspondent Steve Harrigan looks at the numbers and the reasons from our Southeast newsroom.
The official death toll from Hurricane Maria stood at 64 for almost a year. Now, suddenly, it is 2,975, making Maria one of the deadliest storms in the nation's history. The revised figure comes after a report from George Washington University cites deaths caused by the hurricane indirectly, like delayed medical care. The island's governor says there was no political motivation behind the initial low figure.
Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, in hindsight, things could have been handled differently. And my commitment as governor is accepting that criticism, but also building upon it.
I gotta remember to read those captions.
Mortality numbers.
A lot of times those
visited
captions
Puerto Rico 2
also
weeks after landfall and remarked on the low death toll.
If you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina, nobody's ever seen anything
I said
like
look
this.
at, the president said look at, I said look at the captions. He said if you look at
16
the
people
number.
versus in the thousands.
Look at.
The federal government sent more than 12,000 personnel to Puerto Rico in response to the storm. In a statement, Sarah Sanders said the level of federal support was unprecedented. The president remains proud of all the work the federal family undertook to help our fellow citizens in Puerto Rico. The devastating back-to-back hurricanes were met with the largest domestic disaster response mission in history.
I think we did a fantastic job in Puerto Rico. We're still helping Puerto Rico. We have put billions and billions of dollars into Puerto Rico.
Some residents remained without electricity and phone service for months. Electricity was restored in Puerto Rico after $3 billion federal dollars. But experts remain concerned the power grid itself is weak and could fail in another major storm. Brett?
Steve, thank you. Up next, why California is ditching the cash bail system and how that might work. First, what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 4 in Dallas as jurors hear more testimony in the sentencing of a former Dallas area police officer convicted of murder. Tuesday, the jury found Roy Oliver guilty in the fatal shooting of 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, who was unarmed. Oliver was an officer in Palm Springs
that I read about
shot
this
into
morning.
a car full of black teenagers as they drove away from a house party in the Dallas suburb.
These are the specific stories I read about.
Vancouver, Washington,
I don't know what else to
canceled
say.
for students in the Evergreen School District
That's
for the second straight
interesting.
day as negotiations between the teachers union there and the district continue. Teachers who were supposed to be in the classroom for the first day of school were instead lined up with picket signs in hand outside several schools in that district. And this is a live look at Milwaukee from Fox 6.
Reach out to my daughter.
Big story there tonight. Residents clean up after possible tornadoes, uprooted trees, stranded train travelers, leveled a barn, and snapped power lines in Wisconsin. Storms with powerful winds and dry rain have caused extensive damage since Tuesday.
That came
The
true.
National Weather Service says tornado sightings were reported in several communities. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report.
Prediction.
We'll be right back.
Special Report is brought to you by Go RVing. Find your way. Go RVing.
You got the food. And room for all your...
I gotta tell you that while I'm sitting here kind of trying to regroup after a really big lunch and listening to the five who, when there's five people all kind of going off at the same time, then having to change cameras, all of that occurred kind of in a whirlwind, I want to say. I had camera issues trying to get that camera to focus where I wanted it to. I'm gonna have to spend a little more time learning how to use it, but this particular camera that I'm using right now is has the ability to do live streaming if I wanted to stream live to Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but every time I've tried to do that, somewhere within, the first half hour or so, I get knocked off, it loses the connection, and so I stopped using it for that for a couple of reasons, that being one of them, but really all I have to do is be able to prove that all those things that this talks about are true. I have right here all of the things that have happened so far today and the times which they occurred. reach out to my kid here for a second. I was on Google this morning and I was looking at how if you go on Google Maps and you bring it all the way out, like as far away from the location you're looking at as you can get, you can actually look at the whole globe. And you can take the cursor and kind of spin the globe around, which is something I meant to do anyway. A lot of times I'll grab this globe right here and I'll just give it a spin like I'm gonna do right now. 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna slam my finger down and it ends up in the North Pacific. And I'm gonna go to the closest landmass, which is what the heck? Oh. Federated States of Micronesia. Just above the Gilbert Islands, Marshall Islands. That's a common theme that actually right around the same place that I ended up this morning on Google. Speaking of Google, that's the exact same place that I ended up looking at the French Polynesian Islands. So I would just have to say, listen to something in regards to the islands.
Charges were read. The judge has dismissed initial child neglect charges against them and 3 other defendants. They were arrested after authorities found 11 other children living in terrible conditions in that compound.
321.
A huge change in the legal system is coming in California, and reaction is intense so far. The nation's most populous state will eliminate the practice of allowing people to pay money to be released before their trial. Correspondent Jeff Paul on why California is dumping the cash bail system.
Cash is no longer king, at least in California, when it comes to bonding out of jail. The state will soon become the first to use risk assessments to decide who goes free and who stays behind bars.
We replace this system with money system with a detention system where a judge looks at you, and if they think you can let you out with
Doesn't that put more power into the judge's
Governor Jerry
hands?
Brown signing the law on Tuesday, saying
Most
it's all
of which
about
are
treating
liberal.
the rich and poor fairly. Misdemeanor suspects would likely be considered low risk and released within 12 hours of being booked. Charges that involve violent felonies or sex crimes would be seen as high risk, and suspects would likely spend pre-trial time in jail.
One nation under God indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Not for the rich, not for those who can afford bail, but for all.
Supporters feel
Parts of
far
that
too
law
many
make
people are
sense to me.
overcrowding jails, all because of their economic status. But some feel it could jeopardize safety, with more accused criminals
Unless
roaming
it
free.
jeopardizes
There is
safety.
no doubt that many of these tens of thousands of individuals have indeed committed a crime, victimized the constituents that we represent.
The bail bonds industry is already preparing to fight back with the support of career bounty hunters like Don Chapman.
The poor are not in jail because they're poor, Mr. Sawyer. They're in jail because they broke the law.
The ACLU, an original supporter of the bill, is now against the change. The organization feels judges will have too much power to decide. Saying lenders' discretion, racial disparities are often the worst. The law is set to go into effect in October of next year. Brett?
Jeff Paul in LA. Jeff, thanks. Pope Francis is criticizing church officials in Ireland for failing to respond to the church's sex abuse scandal. The Pope making his first appearance since being accused by a former archbishop of himself being involved in the scandal cover-up. Also today, the man behind that claim says he is serene and at peace after publishing his declaration. Well, it sounds like a wild fish tale, but it's happening right now. British and French vessels battling it out in the English Channel. Reporter Kitty Logan tells us from London, it is all over a shellfish.
The standoff began at sunset on Tuesday off the Normandy coast. Dozens of British and French boats facing off over who can dredge
Polynesia.
and when.
There it is.
Neither side backed
British
down,
and French fishing
timbers
boats.
flared, and then the battle began.
More proof.
Boats rammed into each other. Rival crews hurled insults and threw stones. French fishermen furious the British fishermen are gathering scallops when they can't.
We're trying to get rid of the English, because if you let them get away with it, they're going to clear out the whole area.
France has banned scallop dredging from May to October to protect stocks. But those restrictions apply to French fishermen, not to the British.
They're fishing legally, and they have every right to be fishing in those waters, and we are talking to the French authorities at the moment in order to make sure that there can be no repeat of the scenes that we saw earlier this week.
French police later intervened and British boats retreated.
Spin the globe and slam my finger down.
To return within days. This isn't a new dispute. The
It
same
ended up on
problem
that
arises every
same
year.
thing
But the
like
violence
that.
is
French
unusual.
colonies right in the
Now
middle
both
of the
sides are
ocean
blaming
there
each other, but they say
for
they
fishing
will negotiate.
for
Brett?
Kitty, thank you. Some intense scallop battles there.
Scallop battles.
Up next, why new medical treatments
How do you
are
make
getting
that stuff
to
up?
you and your family faster than they have in
Oh, wait,
years.
what?
We'll explain. First, beyond our borders tonight, a senior U.S. defense official confirms to Fox News the U.S. Navy has intercepted a large cache of weapons, including hundreds of AK-47s on a ship in the Gulf of Aden. Sailors from the USS Jason Dunham boarded the ship and made the seizure. U.S. officials are not ready to say where that shipment came from. We'll follow that story. Iran's supreme leader is telling lawmakers not to press too hard on President Hassan Rouhani over the country's economic troubles. This comes after the Iranian parliament rejected several of the president's explanations for that crisis yesterday. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is also casting doubt on the ability of European countries to save the nuclear weapons deal since the withdrawal of the U.S. More than 20,000 people took part in one of Europe's most exuberant food fights today, the annual Tomatina Festival in eastern Spain. The area turned into a red zone, literally, for an hour as people from Spain and around the world pelted each other with ripe tomatoes, leaving the streets flowing with pulp. Just some of the other stories beyond our borders tonight. Scallops and tomatoes. We'll be right back.
Make me hungry.
After walking 6 miles at an amusement park, Phil's back needed a vacation from his vacation. So he stepped on the Dr. Scholl's kiosk. It recommends our best custom fit orthotic to relieve foot, knee, or lower back pain.
See,
Move more.
this one right here, that
Amidst a world of brilliant turquoise, there's an exotic new place in the Bahamas.
that last parody where I was talking about how Google Maps allows you to back way off of the location you're looking at so far that you can actually get a full view of our globe, the one we live on. Then you can manipulate, spin the globe around, that stuff. Then I walked, and I ended up doing that, looking at the North Pacific, South Pacific Islands, French Polynesian Islands to be specific. I wrote it down. No, I'm sorry, then I walked over here and I grabbed this globe right here. I put my glasses on and I spun it as fast as I could, like that, and I slammed my finger down like that. And this time I ended up right on the equator. And I even have it in the direct line of the Earth's equator. So, but back to my other story, I'm going to write that down, that I ended up in the Indian Ocean, right on the equator, in the Indian Ocean. And previously, all back to the original story, was that when I spun the globe earlier, I ended up right back in the same spot as where I was looking at Google Maps this morning. So I'm looking at Google Maps, I ended up in the South Pacific, wrote it down, globe, ended up in the South Pacific, wrote it down. Within 5 seconds, they started talking about French-British shipping vessels in that area, scallop fishing. It's pretty interesting if you ask me. I find that very, very interesting how those similarities, no matter what I do, continue to occur over and over and over and over and over again. All those levels of that is talked about on that sign. Alright, back on.
President Trump's campaign promises is coming true tonight. Candidate Trump promised to cut red tape and shorten the approval process for new medical drugs. Correspondent Garrett Tenney tells us tonight it is happening at a record pace despite some concerns.
Help is on the way. That's the message from the Federal Drug Administration as it works to lower the cost of prescription drugs. The agency's strategy is as simple as supply and demand. Increase competition by allowing more drugs onto the market, and as a result, prices will fall. This past year, the FDA says it approved 46 new drugs, the most since 1996, and a record number of new generics, with more than 1,000 getting the green light.
Make sure they could call in my prescription.
The agency is on track to top both those figures after streamlining its process for reviewing and approving drugs with the goal of getting generic drugs to market in 8 to 10 months instead of the current average of 4 years. The changes are part of the Trump administration's push to cut regulations and get rid of red tape.
She's heard enough from me for the past 5 days.
Services Secretary Alex Azar said the results are speaking for themselves.
I just decided I'm going to give my daughter some space.
Increasing the approval of new branded drugs, bringing new therapies to market. So it's not going to change overnight. We're not driving for any kind of cheap gimmicks or quick solutions. We're doing things the right way.
Critics of the changes disagree and argue the FDA is lowering standards for drug approval and putting consumers at risk.
Somebody needs that medication.
By allowing drugs to come to market ever faster, we are exposing patients across the country to increased risks because we didn't learn about the harms that we could have learned had we done better and longer clinical trials before their approval.
The FDA says a lot of the new drugs it's approved are for treating rare diseases and patients without many other options. In this new streamlined process, those patients don't have to wait.
Allow those patients to choose whether or not they're willing to take the risk.
Amazon is striking back at Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders over his criticism of poor worker conditions at its facilities. Amazon is calling Sanders' statements inaccurate and misleading and accusing him of playing politics. Senator Sanders tells CNBC Amazon workers are left to rely on government programs and is not forthcoming about its employment practices. Second quarter growth in the U.S. economy has been revised from 4.1% to 4.2%.
Drop those glasses down.
Positive day on Wall Street. They like that. The Dow gained 60.5. The S&P 500 was up